we have got 7 carbon atom as the parent chain. So now it is going to be a derivative of heptane. How to write the entire structure, how to write the entire name of this compound, we will be knowing at the end of the completion of number of rules. So now let's take one simple example, one very simple example. So the example is, you have a carbon chain like this, and then you have a carbon chain like this, you have a carbon chain like this, and then I'm increasing the chain. So I want all of you to pause this video and then see whether you are able to figure out the longest chain. Okay, now this is carbon atom number 1. I normally start with the simplest one, which is the horizontal one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So I have got the first chain containing 6 carbon atom, then you have 1, 2, 3, then you have 4, 5. So next second chain is going to be 5 carbon atom, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. You have third chain also contains 5 carbon atoms. Anything else? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have fourth chain also contains 6 carbon atom. Do you have anything else? I don't think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is also done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So it is clearly seen that the longest chain is nothing but the chain containing 6 carbon atom. So now the question will be whether to select number 1 or number 4. So it's going to be one and the same, because if you could see this in this structure, there is no substituent. So whether you are going to select 1 or 4, you are going to get the same number, same name at the end. The next rule is numbering the chain. Now we know how to select the longest chain. The longest chain has to contain maximum number of carbon atoms, and it has to be a continuous chain. That is the most important thing you are supposed to remember. And then we have to start numbering the chain. Now let's start a very simple compound. We have CH3, then you have CH2, you have CH, then you have CH3, you have CH3 over here. So this is a very simple compound, and it's very easy to understand that the longest chain is this. I normally start with the horizontal because that's the much simpler. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 carbon atoms. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Again 4 carbon atom. So it's entirely up to you which chain you are taking, because whether you take the horizontal chain or this chain, it's going to give you the same name. So number of carbon atoms are equal to 4. So this is the parent chain. Now most important aspect of naming is to start numbering this chain. Now numbering has to be done in such a way that this substituent should get the lowest value. This substituent is also called as a locant. So this CH3, if you remember in the past lectures, I have already told that CH3 is nothing but methyl group. This methyl group should get the lowest numbering. So there are two possible ways in which you can number this. First is this way. You have 1, 2, 3 and 4. In this, methyl group gets the numbering 3. The other way of numbering is from right to left. So I'll show it this way: 1, 2, then you have 3, then you have 4. So methyl group gets a numbering 2. So the correct way of numbering is this one: 1, 2, 3 and 4. So now at position 2 you have methyl group. So as you know that the longest chain is the chain containing 4 carbon atoms. So when you have 4 carbon atom, the corresponding alkane is butane. Or let's start it a little bit back. When you have 4 carbon atom, you use the prefix BUT. Now, since it is an alkane, it doesn't contain any double bond. It is a saturated system. So you write ANE. So it is butane. So the parent compound is butane. And now at position 2, you have a methyl group. So you write 2-methyl butane. So it is a rule that between a number and an alphabet there has to be a hyphen. Between an alphabet and a number there has to be a hyphen. Between two numbers it has to be a comma. So the name of this compound is 2-methyl butane. Now let's do one more example. CH3 CH3 CH3. Now this is the molecule, carbon atom, so we use the prefix pent. Since all are single bonds, it is pentane. So the parent is pentane. From left to right and right to left, so I'll start from both ways. When I go from left to right, you have methyl group at position 2 and at position 3. Now when you are going from right to left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this case, methyl group is getting the numbering 3 and 4. Now it's quite, sometimes it's very much confusing. Now it's like 2, 3 and 3, 4. So you know that you have to select this chain and you have to number this chain from left to right. So there is one very simple rule known as lowest sum rule. So in this you don't need to think too much. You just move from left to right, write down the substituents and take the sum. So 2 plus 3 becomes 5. Now when I move from right to left, the sum becomes 3 plus 4, which is equal to 7. So as per the lowest sum rule, you have to select the numbering system in such a way that the sum should be low. So that means the preferred direction of numbering has to be from left to right, because the position of the substituents are 2 and 3, which gives us sum 5, and in the case of right to left, the positions are 3 and 4, and it gives me a sum which is 7. So now it's completely clear that I have to select the chain and I have to number in such a way that it goes from left to right in this particular molecule. Now since you know the numbering system, so now at position 2 you have a methyl group, at position 3 you also have a methyl group. So what am I going to do now? Now since there are two methyl groups, I am going to use the prefix di. If there are 3 methyl groups, I am going to use the prefix tri. If it is 4, then it is going to be tetra. If it is 5, then penta. So now it has 2 methyl groups. So at position 2 you have a methyl group, at position 3 you have a methyl group. So now let's try to write down. So you have 2 methyl, which is one substituent, and then you have 3 methyl, which is one substituent. So since both are similar, you should write dimethyl. So that means it is dimethyl pentane. Now it is still not complete. So at position 2 you have a methyl group, at position 3 you have a methyl group. So for both the methyl groups you have used the word di. So now you are supposed to give the numbering. So it should be 2, 3. So what does it mean? At position 2 you have one methyl group, at position 3 you have another methyl group, and then This particular molecule is nothing but a derivative of pentane.